Jerry, you've got quite a lot of captains suddenly. I mean, with Pat coming back and with Keegan having played last week and now Beast back, you must be pleased about. I mean, you've got like a lot of on-field leadership. I'm sure there's a bit of a sort of what's what I'm looking for, like a collaborative sort of approach to it.
Yeah, and it's fortuitous how it's worked out. I mean, obviously very sad that Patrick got injured when he did, but I think BC's done a great job since he took over, and then it was always our plan to rest Beastie for that last game because of the travel and the itinerary. I mean, our plan with Tendai, with Kuni, with Etienne Oosthuizen next week, with blah blah blah, all those guys has been a plan we've tried to make as scientific as possible with all the travel we've had and all the travel we've got. And so Tendai was going back and, Keegan was making his way into the team, and then it made sense that he took over. But again, now that Beastie's back, obviously Beastie will take the reins, and then as was always the plan, when Patrick does get selected to start, he'll come back and be the captain of the team. But I think your point is more around our leadership group, and I take I'm sure Beastie probably answered that a lot better than me, that he must be feeling quite comfortable having a couple more older heads around him.
Yeah. I'll direct that question. Do you feel like, that with Pat back and with Keegan having re-established himself in the starting team, that you've got a lot of backup?
Yeah, no, certainly. I think it's been like that since the beginning of the season. There's always been guys around me that have, at my back, and always, speak and speak sense when they do. So, guys like Odua, guys like JP, Keegan as well coming back, and obviously Masana got injured. Guys that have really added value and made the job of captaincy very easy for me. So now obviously the real captain is back, Pat. So So now it's been great, and I think it's going to back him when he gets back into the position. I'll give him the same support that I've had from the other guys so far.
There was a bit of a spotlight on you in that Highlanders game, obviously infamous. Maybe you can touch on it a little bit. Obviously a very frustrating match. It might be hard to speak about it, but from your side, just your thoughts on that whole situation.
I think I think it's something that I've been trying to get better at, managing the ref. So I think maybe I might have spoken too much to him that game. So, but I think there were certain decisions that I thought that he could have blown our way, but it didn't go that way. But I think it's something that I'll certainly get better at, and just to maybe talk a little bit less to ref. But it's a tricky one. I can't say much about that.
Raise his heart on his team.
with the fact that there were the flights, and the fact that you guys put in a very long defensive shift in all three games and for the better part of the season, how much of a factor could fatigue play this weekend?
I think obviously there's always been a plan to obviously send back some guys. I think the guys that came back are all fresh and ready to go, and the other guys as well. We had a very good start to the week, and we had a couple of rest days that have really, I think, combated the jet lag. So I think everybody's fresh and ready to go, and I think there's young guys that have got lots of energy. So I never would think that they get tired from anything. So they will definitely be up for it, on Saturday. And I think our defense has been our foundation, and I think it'll to be the one that will lay the platform for us to do well on Saturday.
Jerry, just looking at Keegan's return to the fold, like you touched on earlier, he was able to take over the captaincy when Beast was having a break. How much has he brought back to the team, and are you perhaps a little bit surprised at how much he's stepped back into that role?
No, not really. Again, Keegan also bided his time at the beginning of the season. I mean, he wasn't first choice with Philip, Jean-Luc, Daniel, and Francois Kleinans played ahead of him at the beginning of the year. So he wasn't first choice at all. He's just trained hard. I mean, he's a class individual. I don't think you can get over 200 caps by not being a good individual. But we didn't necessarily feel that we needed to rush him in either when Jean-Luc, Daniel and Philip particularly were playing so well. So his time came through Philip's injury as well, and I'm not surprised that he stepped up to the plate with his experience and his knowledge. But what has been unbelievably pleasant is to see how passionate he is for the Sharks, and amazing what happens to a guy who goes away for a while and then comes back and understands where he wants to be. And I think he's played really well, and yeah, really happy with his contributions.
Gary, the Lions' game plan, well, it is a good one in its own right, was shown to have weaknesses against the Hurricanes, and now a lot of people in their fickle nature said perhaps your guys' method will be the one to slow them down, to shut them down. Do you think there is some merit in that, to play the more kind of physical dominance defensive game against a free-flowing New Zealand team?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the Lions played a better game plan against us and beat us 24-9, you know, and shoved it down our throats, if I'm quite honest. And so they've definitely got the ability to play that game and have done so on many occasions. It's not for me to comment on the Lions game plan. I know they're top of the log and they're playing some great rugby, so I'll definitely not judge the way they play. From our point of view, we have our style. You know, we definitely have made no bones about the fact that, you know, over the last couple of weeks we want to be a team that gets the balance a little bit better. But like we said over the season, I'm not going to apologise for winning games in the best way we do need to. And I think first and foremost what you do need to do is you need to stop teams like New Zealand scoring tries against you, and then when you do have the ball, funnily enough, against New Zealand teams, I think you need to be more clinical in the way you look after it, because the one thing you will see from a Chiefs Hurricanes amazing game of rugby derby is there's 32-31 points out there, you know, and so there are points out there. So I just think it's about getting the balance right, you know, and we have said overseas, we do want to be better with ball in hand, and we have made some changes over the last month or so in terms of our attacking play. You've seen how we've used Villy as a first receiver, two first receivers. So we want to just get the balance right, but there's a foundation. There's a foundation to our game, and it's by and large worked for us and given us confidence to be able to play. So I don't want to get into what I think works against New Zealand teams. I find that would be arrogant. I just think we need to go out there and put out a proper effort against this great team.
Gary, I get the impression with the Lions that where they've maybe might have problems now is that they do have front row injuries. And when they played against you, it sort of started there. I mean, scrum dominance. And your scrum has come right since then, and that's also probably a big reason why you're playing, why you're doing well.
Correct.
Is that still like a very important part of the game? I mean, regardless of what kind of game you're playing, I mean, especially against New Zealand teams.
Definitely, and definitely. I mean, amazing. You just watch the New Zealand teams, and you have a look at their lineouts, and you see they don't mind where they win the lineout. They just want to win the lineout because they need possession. And you can't underestimate that. You can't underestimate the fact that this game still is about having possession from first phase. You have a look at their scrums now at the moment. I mean, every single New Zealand team, bar none, does channel one ball, boom, in and out. Not pretty. They don't try and scrum you. Well, I mean, unless they keep the ball in like the Hurricanes did against the Chiefs, and when they smell blood in the water, as they did that night. But other than that, they make no excuses for the fact that they want to win the ball, and then they'll play and they'll build phases and pressure against you. So definitely, Gav, I think first phase possession is still something that's very important. And from our point of view, we've been critical. We've been self-critical about our lineouts. I think the games where we have been good and been able to win our lineouts, we've played well and, funnily enough, been successful. The games where we've struggled with our lineouts, we've struggled to win the game. So that's the beauty of the game. The set piece is still something that's critically important and will remain so.
The length on the set piece, unfortunately, you've lost Quivers for the rest of the season. Is there a little bit of a concern about depth at scrum half now?
There is, yeah, definitely there is. I mean, we didn't lose Quivers, we lost our little under 20 scrum half did his ACL the week before. I've gone absolutely blank on his name now. Sorry, Beastie, you won't know. Not right. So he was our 20 scrum half. So him and Quivers did their ACLs both in the same week. So it is a bit of a concern at the moment. I mean, Uncle Trent is back training with us now, which is great news. But I know we need to pray long and hard that we don't pick up another injury at the moment. But obviously, the week after next we get a bit of a break. So we've got 3 more games that we need to just hang in there for at the moment.
Just Gary, you touched on Plumtree and Boyd coming, back to Durban. They obviously know the systems. Do you think they will be a little bit more fired up than they would against another South African team for the reasons?
You're going to have to ask Plum that. I can't talk on behalf of Boydie and Plum. They both did very well here. hugely admired and loved by a lot of people in Durban, and I'm sure from their own personal pride point of view they're going to want to do well. But if there's any other agendas, I certainly don't know about it.